Welcome to the Deep Dive. If you're listening to boost your English and learn about something, well, really important, you're definitely in the right place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Today, we're talking about the Earth's ozone layer. Think of it as this invisible shield way up high, our planet's superhero shield, maybe.
That's a great way to put it. It's surprisingly thin, but incredibly powerful.
So in this deep dive, we want to really get into what it is, why it's so crucial for life,
It's as we know it, yeah.
how we almost lost it, and what's being done now to make sure it recovers.
And importantly for you listening, especially if you're working on your English, we'll aim for clear language. We'll point out some keywords as we go.
Sounds perfect. We've got some great info based on a really clear blog post that explains it all pretty well.
Right.
Our mission then is to pull out the really key stuff, the fascinating bits about this shield, make it easy to grasp, easy to remember.
And maybe pick up some new English words along the way.
Exactly. Okay, let's jump in. What is this ozone layer actually?
Okay, so picture Earth, right? It's getting bombarded by sunlight, some of which can be pretty harmful.
UV rays.
Exactly, ultraviolet radiation. What protects us is this layer of gas high up, the ozone layer. It's like an invisible blanket, say 10 to 50 kilometers above us.
10 to 50 kilometers, wow. And it's made of ozone. What's ozone?
Good question. It's a special type of oxygen. You know, the oxygen we breathe is O2 oxygen atoms.
Uh-huh.
Ozone is O3. It's got 3 oxygen atoms stuck together. A close cousin, but different property.
So that extra atom makes it special, gives it protective powers.
That's the key. Its main job, its primary function, is to be Earth's natural sunscreen. It absorbs most of that dangerous UV radiation from the sun before it reaches us down here.
Okay, like a filter. Where's most of it found? You said 10 to 50 kilometers.
Yeah, the highest concentration where it's thickest is usually around 20 to 25 kilometers up.
Right. Now, I read something that just blew my mind. If you took all that ozone from that huge layer and squished it down to ground level, how thick would it actually be?
This is the amazing part. It sounds like this massive layer, right? But if you compressed all of it, the entire atmosphere's worth, down to the pressure at sea level, it would only be about 3 millimeters thick.
3 millimeters. Seriously.
3 millimeters. Let me spell it for everyone. THREE millimeters.
That's tiny.
Yeah.
Like the width of a pencil eraser, maybe.
Exactly that. It's incredible, isn't it? Something so physically thin provides such vital protection for the whole planet.
It really is mind-boggling. So, okay, why is it so important then? What does it actually protect us from?
Well, you could call it a superhero for life on Earth, honestly. Without it, life as we know it on land wouldn't really be possible.
Okay.
Those UV rays we keep mentioning, too much exposure is really bad for us humans. It's a major cause of skin cancer.
Right, I knew that one.
And it can cause serious eye problems like cataracts and even weaken our immune systems, making us more susceptible to diseases.
So it's directly tied to our health. Makes sense.
Absolutely, and it's not just us. Plants are vulnerable too. Too much UV can damage them, slow their growth.
Affecting crops and food supplies, I guess.
Definitely. And it even impacts tiny creatures in the ocean called phytoplankton. Phytoplankton.
Phytoplankton.
These are microscopic ocean plants, basically. They're the base of the marine food web. Food for fish, lots of other sea life. If UV harms them, the whole ocean ecosystem suffers.
Wow. So it really is protecting the whole web of life on land and sea.
Precisely. It helps keep Earth's ecosystems and even our climate in balance. It's, well, fundamental.
Okay, so we've established it's crucial, but then something went wrong. I remember hearing about the ozone hole. That sounds really bad.
It was very alarming. Back in the 1970s, scientists started noticing something worrying. The ozone layer was getting thinner, particularly over Antarctica. And each spring down there, this area of really severe depletion started appearing what everyone called the ozone hole.
Was it an actual hole? Like gone complete?
Not a literal hole, no. That's an important point for clarity for understanding the English term. It was an area where the concentration of ozone dropped dramatically, much, much lower than normal.
Letting more harmful UV through.
Exactly, significantly more.
And what caused this? What was eating away at the ozone?
The main culprits were a group of chemicals made by humans called CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons.
CFCs, I remember those. What were they used in?
All sorts of things, actually. They were really common in refrigerators and air conditioning systems and as propellants in spray cans, like hairspray, deodorant, that sort of stuff.
Okay, everyday items.
Yeah.
Did they get up there and cause damage?
Well, these CFCs are very stable, very unreactive down here. So when they were released, say, from an old fridge or a spray can, they didn't break down, they just drifted upward.
All the way up to the stratosphere, where the ozone is.
Exactly. And up there, high above most clouds, they get hit by strong ultraviolet sunlight. That sunlight breaks the CFC molecules apart.
And releases.
Chlorine atoms and chlorine. Well, chlorine is the real villain in this story.
Chlorine atoms destroyed the ozone. How?
What's scary is how efficient they are. A single chlorine atom can act like a catalyst, meaning it triggers a reaction over and over without being used up itself.
Oh, wow.
One chlorine atom can destroy thousands of ozone molecules before it eventually gets removed from the stratosphere. It just keeps going like a tiny destruction machine.
Thousands from just one atom. That's terrifying. Like a chain reaction.
It is a chain reaction, yes. A catalytic cycle of destruction. And besides CFCs, there were other chemicals too, like halons used in fire extinguishers and HCFCs, which were actually introduced later as a sort of temporary, slightly less harmful replacement. But CFCs were the big problem.
And this hole over Antarctica got really bad.
By the 1980s, yes, it was huge. At its peak, it sometimes covered an area larger than North America. And thinning was detected elsewhere too, including over the Arctic. The potential consequences were massive, a serious global crisis.
Okay, so things look pretty grim. But the story has a positive turn, right? Humanity fought back. Tell us about the Montreal Protocol.
Yes, this is the hopeful part. It's actually a fantastic success story. In 1987, something pretty amazing happened. Countries from all over the world came together.
How many?
Eventually, 197 nations signed the Montreal Protocol. Basically, the entire world agreed, okay, this is a serious threat, we need to fix it, we need to save our shield.
Wow. 197 countries agreeing on something. That's incredible. What did they agree to do?
The core agreement was to phase out the production and use of these ozone-destroying chemicals. CFCs first, then halons, then later the HCFCs too.
So a ban, essentially. With deadline.
Exactly. Legally binding timelines for countries to stop making and using this stuff. It wasn't just a suggestion, it was international law. It had real teeth.
That's crucial. Did it work? Did companies find alternatives?
Yes, and that's another key part. It spurred a huge amount of innovation. Scientists and industries worked really hard to find safer alternatives that could be used in fridges, ACs, foams, aerosols.
Oh, like what?
Well, one group of replacements was HFC's hydrofluorocarbons. They don't deplete the ozone layer, which was great news.
Oh.
Although, side note, we later realized many HFCs are potent greenhouse gases, contributing to climate change. So that became a new challenge to address, which is ongoing. But for the ozone layer itself, they were a big step forward.
Right. One problem solved, another revealed. But the ozone part worked. Was there help for developing countries to switch? That sounds expensive.
Yes, and that was vital. The Montreal Protocol included a mechanism where wealthier nations provided financial and technical help to developing countries, sharing the burden, basically.
That sounds like real global cooperation.
It really was. And that's why it's often called the most successful international environmental agreement ever. It showed that the world can work together to solve huge environmental problems.
That's genuinely inspiring. So the big question then,
Yeah.
after all that effort, is the ozone layer actually healing? Are we seeing results?
Yes. The fantastic news is, yes, it is healing. All the data shows the ozone layer is recovering.
That's brilliant.
It's a direct consequence of the Montreal Protocol working. We reduce those harmful chemicals, and the atmosphere is slowly cleaning itself up. We have solid evidence.
What kind of evidence? What are scientists seeing?
Well, remember the Antarctic ozone hole? It's generally shrinking. It still appears each spring, but it's not usually as deep or as large as it used to be. In 2023, it was observed to be smaller than in many recent years.
Okay, that's concrete progress.
And the projections, the scientific forecasts, suggest the Antarctic hole could fully recover back to how it was before 1980, maybe around 2066.
2066. Okay, still a way to go, but definitely heading in the right direction. What about the rest of the world?
Good signs there, too. Ozone levels over the Arctic and in the mid-latitudes, where most people live, are also recovering. Those areas might actually recover sooner, perhaps by 2040 or 2045.
Sooner. That's even better news. How fast is it thickening?
On average, scientists estimate the global ozone layer is getting thicker by about 1 to 3% per decade. Slow and steady.
Slow and steady wins the race, I guess. But are there still bumps in the road? Any remaining challenges?
Yes, we definitely can't just declare victory and walk away, there are still issues. One is the potential for illegal production and use of banned chemicals.
People still making CFCs.
There was a worrying spike in emissions of one type, CFC-11, detected a few years ago, traced mainly to East Asia. It seems like it's been largely clamped down on now, but it shows we need constant monitoring and enforcement. Vigilance is key.
Right. Can't get complacent. Any other challenges?
Well, climate change complicates things a bit. It's warming the lower atmosphere, but actually cooling the stratosphere, where the ozone layer is.
Cooling. How does that affect ozone?
It's complex, but that stratospheric cooling can, in some regions like the poles, actually slow down the natural chemical reactions that create ozone, potentially delaying recovery there slightly. It shows how interconnected these Earth systems are.
So climate action helps ozone recovery too, indirectly.
Absolutely. And of course, scientists are constantly watching the ozone layer. They use satellites, high-altitude balloons, ground-based instruments, a whole network to keep track of its health.
Okay, so the monitoring continues.
Yeah.
What else needs to happen to make sure it fully recovers? What are the next steps?
It's mostly about staying the course and tying up loose ends. First, definitely stopping any illegal use of the old banned chemicals. That requires international cooperation and checks.
Right.
Second, tackling climate change, as we just mentioned, because of those links. Third, continuing to develop and adopt even better alternatives, chemicals that are safe for ozone and don't worsen climate change. That's ongoing research.
Makes sense. Anything else?
And finally, just keep monitoring, keep watching the sky, basically, to make sure the recovery stays on track and to spot any new potential threats early.
This whole story, discovering the threat, the world coming together, the healing process, it's quite something. Why should this matter specifically to you listening now?
Well, I think there are a couple of powerful takeaways. For anyone learning English, look at this as a real-world example of communication and cooperation solving a massive global problem.
Yeah, that's a good point. If countries can agree on this.
Right. It shows that big challenges can be overcome. Maybe that's inspiring for your own challenge, like mastering a new language. It takes effort, persistence, sometimes working with others.
That's a nice parallel. And the direct benefits.
The direct benefits are huge for everyone. A healthier ozone layer means less skin cancer, fewer eye problems. It means healthier plants, more robust agriculture. It means healthier oceans. It's fundamental to a healthier planet. For you, for everyone.
So what can people listening do? Are there small actions that still help?
Definitely. While the big policy stuff is handled by governments, individual actions still matter. First, just understanding the story and sharing it helps build awareness. Knowledge is power, right?
True.
Second, you can try to support companies and products that are environmentally conscious. Consumer choices do send a message. And on a very practical level, keep practicing sun safety. Even with the ozone layer healing, UV protection is important. Sunscreen, sunglasses, hats, especially during peak hours, or if you live in areas where ozone levels might naturally be a bit lower sometimes. It's just smart health sense.
This has been fascinating, really getting into the details of our planet's superhero shield.
It really is a remarkable story, isn't it? From identifying a huge threat caused by our own technology to understanding the science and then managing to work together globally to start fixing it.
Yeah, that global cooperation part is maybe the most hopeful message.
I think so too. It's a powerful reminder that we can solve big environmental problems when we decide to act collectively. That's a lesson we probably need now more than ever for other challenges too.
Definitely. So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is just to consider that this incredibly thin layer, just 3 millimeters if compressed.
Tiny but mighty.
Tiny but mighty, yeah. It's been crucial for protecting almost all life on Earth. It makes you think about how interconnected everything is, and maybe our role in keeping that balance.
A very important thought to end on.